Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Just wanted to do a little video on how George Zimmerman obtained white man status, how he became an honorary white man. I touched on this a little bit in the one of my previous videos, and I just want to expand on it. I work in film and video, and I do write screenplays, and I deal with characters. And one of the things that you want to get, or one of the things that makes you have a successful screenplay or a successful idea or concept, is you have to have what they call universal themes. Meaning that you want to make your characters relatable, so that if it reaches a broad or mass amount of people, then that character becomes popular and increases the the popularity of your work. And the way that George Zimmerman obtained honorary white man status sort of falls in line with that same thing. Let's look at George Zimmerman. First of all, he's not white. I think his family is Peruvian or something, and I don't know, but I know that he's not European. He's a tweener, as my coworker at the job says. He's a tweener, and there's a tweener culture, but I'll get into that later. But he's light, so he can pass. He's passable. Actually, he looks like a Mexican, but under normal circumstances, he would probably be judged as a Mexican. But there's extraordinary circumstances as to why he obtained white man status. See, one of the fantasies of I would say a lot of white racist people is killing a black thug or black criminal or this typical angry black man that's out to take you and steal your money and rape your daughter and all this other stuff. They just got this in their mind that that's what we all do. So when they can kill one of us, it's like, oh man. Or a lot of times you have a dude that's just a straight up punk and getting punked by black dudes all the time. Like he either got his lunch money taken, or either he got his girl taken, or the girl that he really liked or that he held up on some pedestal is being, used like a $2 whore by some black dude. There's a lot of real reasons why they got this angst and this prejudice and bias against black folks. So when they have an opportunity to, before George Zimmerman, if people remember back in the days in New York, it was Bernard Getz, and everybody gravitated toward. He was actually a white man, by the way, but everybody, and he was Jewish too. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter if you got the right protection. What they say, the complexion for the protection. If you can look the part, they'll overlook the little Jewish thing or the little Mexican Peruvian thing. It doesn't matter. We'll just gloss that over. But as I was saying, Bernard Getz, people were attracted to him and moved and mobilized around his situation because they could understand or they could relate to being approached by black youths in a certain situation. Even if they had never been approached by black youth, the stereotype in their mind is that all black youths are out to get them. So when you see a bunch of black youth walking down the street, your first reaction as a white racist person is to walk on the other side of the street. I won't even attribute that to racism. I'll attribute that to just being a punk. Because if I see a bunch of youth coming on my block and I'll walk in between them. And the reason why is because I'm not doing nothing to them. They're not doing nothing to me. So I don't assume that people are out to get me for no goddamn reason. But hey, that's one of the beautiful parts about not being full of shit. Because you're not walking around thinking that somebody's going to jack you all the time. But let me not digress. I'll get back on the situation. So in George Zimmerman's case, certain white folks could empathize with him. And even though he was the one who was the aggressor, even though he was the one who had the gun, and here's another point that I want to raise that one of the guys on Facebook had did a video, and actually I have him in my playlist. His name is Jose V. Cruz or V. Vasquez or something like that. I made a playlist on my channel from him where he has 3 videos talking about how George Zimmerman is guilty. And one of the points that he raises is, how could it be George Zimmerman crying and screaming for help when George Zimmerman had the help right on his waist? Supposedly his gun was for protection and for self-defense. So you mean to tell me he walks into a situation, confronts a dude with a gun on his side, goes after the dude, loses the dude, and then all of a sudden, during all that time, never worried about his gun, and then when he's on the ground getting his face bashed into the head bashed into the concrete, then he realizes, oh shit, I got a gun. Let me use it. Anybody with common sense knows that that's bullshit, but we won't even go there. White people, certain white people could relate to that. You know what I'm saying? They could relate to that situation. So he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. So we only have 2 people that know what went down exactly. That's Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. These certain eyewitnesses or ear witnesses or whatever you want to call them that heard this and that after the fact, we can go over that for days. But in terms of what happened at that situation from beginning to end, only George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin knows, and dead men tell no tales. So we got George Zimmerman's version of the story. And of course, since Trayvon Martin is a young black man, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. So he's in suspicion regardless. It doesn't matter whether he has Skittles or iced tea. And as a matter of fact, one of my favorite spins on the Skittles and iced tea thing is that's the ingredient for some drug called the lean. Ooh, I wonder how long it took for them to create that bullshit. So now, if a white kid went to get Skittles and iced tea, would anybody be saying that those are the ingredients for some drug or some concoction that he was going to get so he can go out in the streets and start bugging out so that he can get some guy to follow him so he can kill him? But, I really, when you start understanding psychotic people, then you're psychotic. So don't feel bad if you don't understand how people think. I mean, these are the same people who would not have a Chinese person playing a Chinese character in their movies because that made them feel uncomfortable. So what they did was they went out and got a white person to play a Chinese character because they feel more comfortable with white people playing Chinese than a Chinese person playing the Chinese person. This is the mentality that you're dealing with. And if you try to understand that shit, you are going sane, which is one of the reasons why my general philosophy is on my channel is let's take them out of the center of our universe. Let's stop caring about what they feel and what they think. And we got to start caring about what we feel, what we think. If we're going to be coming together and integrated, let's get integrated amongst Jamaicans and Haitians, continental Africans and African Americans, Africans in Brazil or Africans in the UK. Let's get consolidated on that level. Let's get integrated on that level. Not worrying about integrating outside of the black African culture. How about that? Because you're going to go crazy. You're going to be like Don Lemon crying because you're so upset that these white folks don't understand you and they don't get what you go through and they're not sympathetic or empathetic to your cause or your plight and all the shit that you have to deal with as a black man. But one of the things that I find interesting, not only about white folks feeling empathy toward George Zimmerman and understanding and relating to George Zimmerman. Another thing that I find very interesting is how they claim how much they hate thug and gang culture. You notice that? Oh, these thugs, these gangs, and whatever. And pay very close attention to the language that they use whenever they're talking about black folks, especially black leaders, so-called black leaders. You know how I feel about them. But how I feel about them is from a different perspective than how they feel about them. They lump us all together. So when you hear them talking about Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, they'll always use hustler. They always use pimp. You know what I'm saying? They always use those terms when they're talking about Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton or anybody else that's black in that position of representation or leadership. They never use that with anybody else that's white. Never. I mean, just check it out. I've never heard Bill Clinton referred to as a thug or a hustler or a pimp, ever, by white folks. Now, black folks have referred to him as that. But I've never heard a white person do it. So I just find it interesting that they use these terms, these gang-related terms, and they say that they're so against this gang-banger mentality. But yet, George Zimmerman was initiated into your white club by killing a black teenager. That was his initiation. He became an honorary white man because he killed a black teenager. So who's the real gangbanger? And how much against gangbanging can you possibly be since you follow the same initiation rites that they do? Listen, these people are full of shit, y'all. And it's about time that you guys really got with the program and realized something that I've been saying for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I've been saying this for a very long time. We have no friends. We have no allies. There is no one that's vested in the freedom, the liberation, and justice of black African people. Everyone. Well, let me just say this. Prejudice and racism transcends political ideology. Everyone hates black African people. We are all we've got. And the sooner we start realizing that and acting on that, the better off we're going to be. Because if we don't, it's going to be a wrap. And that's all I got to say on that. I'll holler at you good people later. Peace.